Okay, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakwadash. Shalom to the elect. And this is going to be a comment board response video to an individual. His name is D-More914. He put a comment here, and I'm just going to make a response because I went slightly back and forth with him, as far as, because I made a statement in a video. I said that this guy that you see before you, although he looks like a Moabite, okay, he looks like a Moabite, I said that he could be an Israelite. And this seems to be like an issue or a problem that, people have with the people that believe that the Gentiles are going to look like other nations. All right. Mainly the bulk of Great Millstone. The Great Millstone is the only camp that I ever heard or seen, ever teach that or say things of that nature. Everyone else, all the other Hebrew Israelite camps, you don't see them having other nation looking or confusion of faces type individuals in their camps. They don't talk about it. Nevertheless, this is, a part of the doctrine. And in fact, I'm going to prove into the scriptures that the Apostle Paul, all right, he actually, basically got thrown into jail for it. And that was a part of him writing his letters. A lot of his letters were written because of that very fact right there. There was good portions of his letters that were written because of that fact. All right. And I'm going to prove that in the scriptures. All right. So first off, I'm going to start off with the comment that the man made. It says, so if Moab believes in the scriptures, he might be an Israelite. And you can tell he's saying this like, I want to say sarcastically, I'll just say. He's saying it sarcastically to where he's saying, oh, he's making a statement, coming up against what I said, right? It says, y'all taking the spirit bear witness too far. And that's bugged out, man. All right, because the mind of the Lord is too far for us, man. The scripture says that the Most High has manifold wisdom. Okay, he doesn't look at things the way we look at it. All right, for one, his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. You can't put a boundary on the Most High. Okay, the Most High is the infinite or the infinite man. He's the Ancient of Days. He has no beginning. He has no end. You can't put a capacity on the mind frame of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? So I put the scripture here, which is John 3:8. It said, the wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. That's right. So, you have a windy day. You can't tell where the wind is going. You can't catch the wind. You can't measure wind. Okay, you can tell how fast it's going, but you can't tell the weight of wind. Okay, it says so is everyone that is born of the Spirit. All right, so someone that is born in the Spirit, you can't tell a man, okay, you ain't got a portion of the Spirit, or you got too much of the Spirit, or you ain't got enough of the Spirit. The portion of the Spirit is delegated by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, not by us. Okay, now this is his response. He says, we have to leave it up to the Most High to bear witness on their spirit. When you said Bruce Lee was an Israelite, I couldn't watch anymore. Pure folly. Hey, if that's your opinion, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. We believe through faith, okay, that Bruce Lee is an Israelite or was an Israelite, if you will, okay? You have all kind of history of, so-called blacks being in the land of what we know today as China. Okay. In fact, King David set up garrisons in Moab. And that was a common thing back in the ancient world for when the likes of King David or even the likes of Judas Maccabees or the rest of the Maccabees or any one of our forefathers that actually went to war with the Moabites in particular, killed their men and took their women. Okay. And it's the same concept. That's why you're going to have a bunch of Jakes popping up with the truth in the land of Vietnam. Why? Because during the Vietnam War, you had Jakes going out there, all right, stressed out, after having a long days of war and everything, and they seen some of the captives and they took them. And you think, what do you think? They went and got condoms and didn't, all of them, had condoms and nobody spilt seed in none of them women? No, you have men that left seed in those Moabite women. Okay? If the Vietnamese is Moab, or they might be Japhet, who, in particular, I don't know. Okay? Anyway, moving on. He says, I won't know for sure until the end, but I have faith through Yahweh Shai, and my ancestors definitely came to America on slave ships. And that's the thing. And that's what I'm going to touch on in this lesson, because there's always somebody. I'll just put it like this. A lot of Hebrew Israelites always like to lean on carnal so-called facts to try to prove that they're Israelites. When indeed, in being an Israelite, it starts with the spirit. The spirit that's in that body in particular is either Israelite or it's not. It's a spiritual thing. And that's right. I said in the video, if he's agreeing with the words of the Lord, that's right, he's an Israelite, man. Okay, and I'm going to prove that with scriptures. All right, so I said a couple more things. So if a man says he believes in Yahweh Shai, but is from North Korea and looks like a Korean, are you saying that he can't be an Israelite? He says, I'm saying that we treat him like a Gentile because most likely he's a Gentile. Now, the thing about it, my man, you just said that we're going to leave it up to the Most High. Now you're going to say we're going to treat it like a Gentile. And the scriptures tell you that, he that understandeth judgment understands all things. The scriptures also says that we have an unction that we know all things. All right. One of the gifts that Paul wrote about was the gift of discernment and discerning spirits. Those are some of the attributes that come with the Lord supping with you, man. All right. It says, I'm not going to say is Jake just because they can sing or dance. That's folly. Well, that's up to you, my man. All right. And then we would like to see who you teaching. All right. But anyway, I'm going to move along. I'm going to go on further with the lesson. All right. And the first scripture I want to start at, all right, is Colossians, the 2nd chapter. All right. Because again, like I said, Paul was actually combating individuals such as D Moore 914, or you have ISUPK, or you have, IUIC, or any one of these other Hebrew Israelite camps that come up against Israel looking like the other nations. Okay, so Paul was going through the same thing. All right, this is Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you. What does the word spoil mean? It means to rob. Okay, beware lest any man rob you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach. That's right. Now, the vain deceit and the tradition, mainly the tradition of men, was what? It was all about records. It was all about tracing who your father was. Okay? Matter of fact, that reminds me of a scripture. All right? See if I can spell it right. Let me see something. I think it's in Titus. Give me 1 second. Salaki, bear with me. Matter of fact, I know where it's at. It's Titus 3 and 9. Yep, that's it. Salakia. I had to grab my sword real quick. Make my way. Salakia. This is Titus. This is the book of Titus, chapter 3, verse 9. But avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions, strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. And a part of the law was what? The records. Okay? A part of the law was the genealogies that you guys want to always go into. But Paul, when he was writing his letters, and Yahweh Shai, he was basically teaching to go by the Spirit, man. All right? That's what this thing is all about. It's about being born of the Spirit. I did a video on that a while back. I might do another one again about being born of the Spirit. If you're not born of the Spirit, then you don't know the works of the Spirit. You only know the deeds of the flesh, man. Okay? So that was that. Let's go back. Okay? Salakia. I jumped around and shit. This is Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach. Now let's go into that word rudiments. Okay? Another word you could think of is rudimentary. Things that are rudimentary. Okay? The rudiments. It says, any first thing from which the others belonging to some series or composite whole take their rise. An element, first principle. And yeah, it says, or composite whole take their rise, meaning what? Things that men would use to their advantage. Men used to boast because they came in the same line, or the same bloodline, or their forefathers went back to certain men. That was common back in Israel. Like, and for instance, to be of the high priest. If you were, in order to be a high priest, you had to come up under a specific line, man. Okay? Just like the kings. All right? And just like you had different offices within Israel, men would brag about because of who their fathers were. And it was all carnal, man. It wasn't done. It wasn't through the Spirit. They weren't exonerating Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. They were exonerating their forefathers. And back then, men knew about reincarnation, so they were basically exonerating themselves. Okay? It says the letters of the alphabet as the elements of speech, not, however, the written characters, but the spoken sounds, the elements from which all things have come, the material causes of the universe, the heavenly bodies, either as parts of the heavens or because the elements of man, life and destiny were supposed to reside. The elements, rudiments, primary and fundamental principles of any art, science, or discipline of mathematics, illicit geometry. But that's it. That's the point. The very basics, meaning what? Because men would boast and brag because of their forefathers. Okay, now I'm going to go further in on that in the next chapter. I'm going to go into Galatians, the 3rd chapter, to further expound on that. Nevertheless, let's go back. This is verse 9 in Colossians, the 2nd chapter. For in him dwelleth all fullness of the Godhead bodily. Right, because you try to tell a man that he can't come into the fullness and the knowledge of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai because of what he looks like. It said within Hamashiach is all fullness, man. It says, and ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power. That's right. And whom all ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands. That's right. So if a man wants to come into the fold and he looks like a Moabite, or he looks like a Hamite, all right? That's why a lot of you guys stumble on who's Ham and who's Jake, because you're not spiritual. Okay? It says, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Hamashiach. That's right. Putting on that knowledge, man. Because if a man comes in and he wants to do right by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, then it's not for us to shut up the kingdom of heaven unto that man. Okay? So with that, I'm going to go to Galatians, the 3rd chapter. All right? You know what? Let me start at verse 1. Okay? Let me start at verse 1. It says, O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Hamashiach Yahweh Shai have been evidently set forth, crucified among you. That's right. See, now what Paul is basically saying, right? I'm going to read it again. O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, meaning who taught you otherwise, that ye should not obey the truth, All right, verse 2. This only would I learn of you, received by the Spirit, by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith. You see? And you guys that are all caught up in the way people look, all of you teach, all of you caught up by the works of the law, man. None of these other Hebrew Israelite groups teach about faith. And none of you mention the confusion of faith. Inevitably, that shows that you are the ones that crucified Yahushua back in the day, man. You're the one that persecuted Paul. All right? You're the same very spirits that did the same thing. Okay? Are ye so foolish? And look, this is what Paul, the guy, Salakia, the guy called us, or, you know, those that teach that of the confusion of faith, he calls that foolish. But Paul is calling you foolish. You can't deny a man's faith. You don't have the ability to give the gift of faith. Okay? It says, are ye so foolish, having begun in the spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh? You see? We're being made perfect through the spirit, man. We ain't being made perfect through the flesh. All right? I don't care what a man looks like, man. If his spirit, that's right, if his spirit bear witness with our spirit, then he is the Son of the Most High, man. Okay? He says, have ye suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain? That's right, because Paul, through extrapolation, he's writing to the Galatians. Why? Because they didn't all look like Israelites, man. All right? A lot of these were Greek, were conquered, if you will. All right? A lot of these Galatians grew up amongst the Greeks, amongst Edomites. So Paul inevitably would have some people in his fold that didn't all look like Israelites. You see, they had a beef with him when it came down to the circumcision. All right? When you can read that Acts the 15th chapter, Acts the 16th chapter. All right? Colossians the 2nd chapter, what I just read. Verse 5. He, therefore, that ministereth unto you the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, doeth he by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Even as Abraham believed the Most High, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye, that's right, because righteousness does not come by the law. Righteousness comes by what? The hearing of the word of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Even as Abraham believed the Most High, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye, therefore, that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And the scripture foreseeing the Most High would justify the heathen through faith. Right? Because you're looking at these people and say, oh, this guy's a heathen. You just said, oh, this guy, we're going to treat him like a Gentile. There's nothing new under the sun. The men of old, because you had temples of Israelites and Jews, as you will see, in Galatia. You have temple of Jews in Asia Minor and throughout those different regions of the known world back then. You had temples of Israelites. But those temples were not allowing the quote-unquote heathen into those temples. All right? It says, and the scripture foreseeing the Most High would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, and these shall all nations be blessed. That's right. And that is the fulfillment. These other nations, these other Israelites that look like the other nations, is the fulfillment of the prophecy of Abraham and all nations flowing unto him. Okay? Not the all, because you don't believe that, then you believe that all the other nations that are natural born Gentiles can actually receive the truth. We don't believe that natural born Gentiles can receive the truth. We believe that a man that may look like a Gentile, he's really an Israelite, man. It's just that simple, man. You're essentially crucifying Yahushua afresh, man. Yahushua died for this very reason, man. Because the works of the law cannot save us. It's going to say it again. It's going to say it. For as much as any of the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. Okay? Hamashiach have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hanged on a tree. Right, because when Yahushua was hung up on a tree, he took us away from that curse. Okay? That the blessing of Abraham might come to the Gentiles. All right? And we know that this Gentiles is not talking about natural born Gentiles. It's talking about Israelites that are in that Gentile state of mind, that actually look like Gentiles and believe that they're Gentiles. And I'll stand on my own too. And I'll say that I believe that that guy in the video right here, I believe that this man, he was an Israelite man. But he looked at us and he said, you guys. He didn't incorporate himself within up under us, or as being an Israelite himself as well, or as him being the same nationality as us. Okay? It says, I'm going to read verse 14. It said that the blessing of Abraham might come unto the Gentiles through a Mashiach, Yahushua, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant, yet it be confirmed. No man disannulleth or addeth thereto. Right? Now, let's go into that word disannulleth. I know what it means. Nevertheless, still going to go into it. All right? It says to do away with, to set aside, disregard, to nullify, make void, to frustrate, to reject, to refuse, to slight. It's just that simple, man. No man disannul, man. And I say that the covenant that was confirmed before Hamashiach Yahushua, before of the Most High in Hamashiach, the law, which was I skipped the part. I'm on verse 15. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, meaning what? If it's confirmed in the spirit, no man can reject, no man can refuse, and you can't add unto thereto, man. You can't make somebody an Israelite. You can't make somebody believe in the scriptures. Okay? That's what they act like we doing. They act like we making people, sitting them down. You got to believe this. I don't care what you look like. This is what you got to believe. And now you can come out in the camp. Okay? It says, now to Abraham and his seeds were the promises made. He said, saith not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one. That's how we know that this is not talking about, it's literally talking about all other nations. It's talking about the children of Israel only, and to thy seed, which is Hamashiach. Why? Because Hamashiach came through that same seed. Okay? And if you can understand it and receive it, because he's Isaac as well. All right? And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of the Most High Hamashiach, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it shall make the promise of none effect. That's right. Just because the law came out through Moses, that doesn't change the promise that was given unto Abraham. For in the inheritance be of the law, for if, this is a key point here, but if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of the promise. But the Most High gave it to Abraham by promise. So you could can that whole doctrine about the law, and you could can that whole covenant of the flesh. Okay? Because the covenant was never made by the flesh. The covenant was made through promise. Okay? Wherefore then serveth the law? It was added because of transgressions, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made. And it was ordained by angels in the hand of a mediator. Now a mediator is not a mediator of one, but the Most High is one. Is the law then against the promises of the Most High? Most High forbid. If there had been a law given which could have been given life, verily righteousness should have been by the law. But the scripture have concluded all under sin, that the promise of faith of Hamashiach might be given to them that believe. That's the point, man. If a man believe, then he's of the faith. Then evidently, then he's of the seed of Abraham. The gift of faith is not given unto the other nations. Okay? But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith, which should afterwards be revealed. Verse 24. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us to Hamashiach, that we might be justified by faith. That goes back to those rudiments, the beginning. But after the faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. Right? Because we can't judge by what we were taught from the very beginning, meaning of the law. We're only to judge through the Spirit. And the only ones that could judge through the Spirit is those that are born of the Spirit. For as many of you as have been baptized into Hamashiach have put on Hamashiach, there is neither Jew nor Greek. See, and what that really goes into, you can't call a man by his nationality. Okay? You can only say it if a man has faith or if he doesn't. That's it. Regardless if we say John Travolta is an Israelite, regardless if we say Leonardo DiCaprio or Robert De Niro, it doesn't matter. What matters really is if the man has faith. That's what that means. There's no difference between Jew or Greek. Okay? There is neither Jew nor Greek. It doesn't matter if you knew you were Israelite or if you don't know you're Israelite. What matters is that you have faith in the words of Yahweh Shai. That's what matters. And evidently that man later on, if he has faith in the scriptures and he believes in the scriptures, then he's going to understand that he's an Israelite. Because the scriptures and the scriptures are only given to Israelites. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahushai. And if ye be Hamashiachs, then ye are the seed, Abraham's seed. Why? Because the scripture says what? My sheep heareth my voice. And heirs according to the promise, not according to the flesh and not according to the law, because of the promise that was given unto Abraham, okay, which was given to many nations, okay, if you can receive that, all right? Okay, now, last thing I want to get, this is Acts chapter 21, verse 27. And when the 7 days were almost ended, this is the time where Paul, he was warned by the prophet not to go into the land of Israel because they were looking for him. You had men that vowed to lock Paul up and kill him. Why? Because he was teaching outside of the rudiments of the world. Okay? And that world is talking about Israel, as we all know. Okay? It says, and when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people. I'm sorry, he didn't get into Israel because they warned him not to go, and he didn't make it there just yet. And laid hands on him, crying out, men of Israel, help. This is the man that teach all men everywhere against the people and the Lord. See? They believed that Paul was teaching up against the law, which they were lying on him. In this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple, and have polluted this holy place. For they had seen before him in the city Trophimus and an Ephesian, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. You see? Because, man, look, through extrapolation, all right, Trophimus, more than likely, you know, I just put it like this. I can't make that a declaration. I can't say that that's what it is, but there's a good chance that he looked like an Edomite, just like Cornelius, which most of you guys stumble on, man. 9 times out of 10, well, I can't say that neither. I can't put a percentage on it, you know, but there's a good chance that these men look like other nations. And that's why they wanted to kill Paul. That's why they wanted to lock him up. Okay? Verse 30 says, and the city was moved, and the people ran together, and they took Paul and drew him out of the temple, and forthwith the doors were shut. And that's the point right there, man. All right? So there's nothing new under the sun. You always had men coming against other men that were, such as Paul, bringing men into the temple or into the fold and teaching them, although they didn't look like Israelites, man. All right? And I'm going to close up on that. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Quadash. Give double honors to the apostles and elders who I'm learning from. And shalom to the elect.